What's up, everybody? Hopefully you can hear me okay. I'm not sure if I tested the sound before I started, but nothing like doing live testing. How are you all doing today? We've got a cool web app to break today, a couple of different things to look at. So we'll do a tiny bit of code review and we'll brute force a session token, and then we're going to do server-side cross-site scripting. And yes, I didn't missay that, server-side cross-site scripting, because I saw a talk on it recently. I'll share some details in the chat soon when we get to it, but all good. How are we all doing today? Before we dive into some questions, what's up, Zen? You got the first comment. Good job. Fast. Arubius has been slow recently, so you've taken the number one step. We do have like some new live web app training coming up in August. So I'm building a ton of labs and new content for it. Basically, instead of kind of following the more traditional approach, I'm like throwing everything into more like a modern web applications first approach. So we'll be like dissecting like microservices and JSON and understanding how attacks work like in context, rather than like looking at a very specific attack in an old PHP web app and then being like, this is how it works, and then have fun doing bug bounty. It's more like we're going to look at things like in a much more like I say, like more modern web apps, and everything is going to be a little bit more up to date. So that's what I'm working on at the moment. So it's all busy. I've been writing a lot of code recently, so let's put it that way. How are you all doing today? It's quiet here at the moment because the cats are in the cattery. I'm away this weekend, got some weddings to do and stuff, so they're there and they're just chilling, having a good time at their holiday home. But I don't know if it's going to happen or not, so don't hate on me if it doesn't happen. The cattery that we use had it's really sad, had a cat and all of her kittens like dumped outside, and obviously somebody's just come up and been like, just left them there all night. So we might be adopting a few more kittens. If they can't rehome them by Monday, I think when I go to pick up Elfie and Poppy, I will be coming home with more cats than we had last week. So we'll see. If they all get rehomed, great. I told them if they're struggling to rehome them, then we'd probably take them. So we'll see. I'm really excited. More cats, more chaos. It's all good. And actually what I suspect is all the kittens are quite easy to rehome because everyone's like, ah, yeah, kittens. But the mother might, they might not be able to find a home for her. So we might, we'll take her, of course, if she's still there. And yeah, we'll see. All right, let me scroll down. Also, heads up. So I'm definitely going to Defcon. My visa was accepted. Not that the visa process is that difficult from the UK to the US, but every time I do it, I'm always like, maybe they're gonna reject me. If you're at Defcon, feel free to reach out. Happy to grab coffee, pizza, beer, whatever your jam might be. Just let me know. I do have like some things already scheduled in, but I'll be there. I'll be around. It's a nice long weekend. So let me know if you're coming. Ooh, are my cats indoor only? Yes, I have indoor cats for a couple of reasons. One, the ginger one, Elfie. So when we adopted her, she just came, like, she was really young. We think she either lost or separated from her mother, and so she has no social skills. And she's really aggressive to other cats, and so it's not really fair. I've done a lot of training with her, even like I've got scars from training this cat. It's not fair on the other neighborhoods cats, for one, and two, they're terrible on the road, and we have quite a busy main road out front. But even though they're indoor, they have a catio, so they do have outdoor space. They can go out there, watch the birds. Poppy actually caught a bird the other day because it flew into the catio, and my God, she was like parading it around the house, rubbing herself against every wall. She was so happy with herself. But there you go. Yeah, we have indoor cats. I would love to let them outdoors more, but it's just not safe for them around here, and it's not fair for the other cats, unfortunately. But I do take them out in the garden every so often on the lead, though, so they do get outdoor time. What's up, Andrew? I feel like it's been a while since we managed to catch up. So if you're at Defcon, let's definitely catch up. I feel we haven't chatted on Discord in ages, so that will be a great thing to organize. Ooh, yeah, that's where is it? This one is a whale shark, and of course the octopus as well. I mean, they're kind of like out of focus, so you can't really see them, but they're just if you know the service display, they're from there. They're quite nice for my office, I think. So we're all good. All right, so I'm just scrolling down the chat at the moment. Let me just pop into the pins questions. Oh, hi, what's up, Mary Ellen? How you doing? I have to pick this one up because it's Mary Ellen, of course, one of our VIPs. How did a bird get into the catio? So it's got like a mesh on it that's like 1 inch by 1 inch, maybe. And it was kind of like a small, it kind of looks like a robin, but it wasn't. It had like a bit of green on the side. I'm not sure what bird it was. We have loads and loads of starlings. It was way too small to be a starling. But yeah, I think it basically came in, like snuck through, and then was it was obviously quite a young bird. Unfortunately, it's obviously, like, I wouldn't get birds and like put them in there, but it's kind of sad that the bird got eaten, but also it's just part of life, isn't it? Cats eat birds. That's how the world is. So all right, let me check out some questions. Ooh, a guide for AppSec and roadmap. We have a YouTube video on this. I think earlier in the year, maybe February, we did like a roadmap. So definitely check that out. I do go over like more detailed roadmaps in my live training, but I think the biggest thing is if you're just starting out, do a course and stick to it. Whatever course you decide to do, like stick with it, because it gives you like really good like base of knowledge to like build on top of. If you just kind of like watch random YouTube videos and go here and there, you'll pick up lots of different things, but you won't really know how they connect together. So getting like a base methodology is really, really important, and then building on top of that is really, really important. And then I think there are a few other key things. So first, definitely build a web app. Like spend a little bit of time, not loads of time, like 2 hours or something, build a web app, follow Traversy Media or something, or one of Code with Mosh or something, and build something. And then from there, either start working through like the TCM courses or start working through Portswigger Academy, and really kind of like build your knowledge base. And I think with that puts you off to a really good start. And then from there, you can start, looking for jobs and going deeper into certain things, specializing, whatever it might be. Ooh, could we explain about RS-256 JWT token, how to exploit it? So the way, usually if a token is signed and you see the algorithm RS-256, you probably want to try and find the private key. So generally speaking, like there are other tricks you can do. So if it's vulnerable to, for example, when you add a different key as part of the header, and then it doesn't validate that, and then it uses a different key to validate the token, you can do like key confusion, basically. So there are different ways to do it, but generally speaking, if you see RS-256 instead of like HSA, and it's not like a something that you're trying to crack, you need to be either find the private key, or you need to use some other exploit technique, if that makes sense. I think those are like the two main routes. All right, let me keep scrolling down. You're my instructor from the PEH course. Yeah, I do the web app section in the PEH course. Yeah, that's me. What up? All good. So this is the 15-hour YouTube video I think you're talking about. I think it's a really good starting point for sure. It covers loads of fundamental stuff. So yeah, if you're a complete beginner, do the 15-hour course. You'll learn so much stuff, and there's always more to learn, right? It never ends, but it's going to put you like in the right path. It's going to give you loads of fundamental skills that you can then build on, and you can take on either more advanced courses. You can start doing try hack me, hack the box, CTFs, and things like this. So it kind of like sets you up in the beginning, if that makes sense. Let me keep scrolling down. Which programming language should be a good choice to learn for network web app pen testing? I think like a lot of people hate on it, but Python's probably your best bet. It's, widely used, easy to spin up. In fact, I've written a script in Python that we'll look at in a little bit to brute force some tokens. So yeah, it's I would say Python's probably your number one. Like if you're specializing in web app pen testing, I think JavaScript is really, really important for sure. But I think like as a general skill for penetration testing, Python's probably your best bet. Bit of bash goes a long way as well. All right, let me keep scrolling down. Oh, is Portswigger really really good? Yeah, I think it's like kind of like a staple. I think a lot of the labs are really good. A lot of the attacks are really, really important. There's nothing in there that like, if you're a professional web app pen tester, there's probably nothing in there that should surprise you too much. Like it's really, a lot of good solid stuff. So for sure. Oh, this is good to hear. PWP is a wonderful exam. Yeah, thanks. That's really, really good. It took quite a lot of work. A lot of time building, researching, balancing, beta testing. Yeah, I'm glad it's out there, which is cool. All right, so let me keep scrolling down. I'm going to hop back to the chat. There's still loads of questions in there. I can see 25 pinned already. I've probably answered about 10 or 15. But let me catch up with how you guys are doing. What's everybody talking about apart from this? Oh, can I explain this command? This looks like shell shock. Is it shell shock? I don't know. If you go to explainshell.com, paste it in. Let me see what. Oh no, I can't copy and paste from the chat. Oh, that's really annoying because I'm on Restream, but maybe try and explain shell. But no, it's not. It's not shell shock, is it? Because that would be trying to vaguely remember the syntax. I would have to Google. I don't know. My bash skills aren't that good. So, let's see. And scroll down a little bit more. All right, I'll switch back to the questions. We're 20 minutes in already almost. So we'll start the box in like 5 minutes, and then we'll keep going. Chat is wild today. I love to see it. So many good questions. Have I used Rust for pen testing? No, not personally. Like I've seen Rust scripts and tweaked them and like interacted with it, but have I written something in Rust from scratch to achieve something? No, I haven't. That's not to say it's not good or not, not legit. I just haven't spent any time learning Rust, and then I wouldn't go to it just because I'm not that familiar with it. So, I think it's valid to check out, but it's not really in my wheelhouse because I'm doing a lot of web stuff as well. Don't really need it necessarily. At least not for me day to day. Let me keep scrolling down. Oh, this is a good question from Uday. If I don't have a degree, is it possible to get into offensive security? Recently dropped out from my college due to some personal reasons. So what I would say is it's definitely possible, 100%. But what I would say is it's probably going to be a little bit harder. So when people ask me questions about if I don't have a certification or if I don't have a degree or whatever it is, when you apply for a job, right, you basically set out like a criteria. So in an ideal situation, you check every box. So for me, I apply for a job. I've got a degree in like a master's degree. I got like 10 years working in cybersecurity. I've got a bunch of side projects, got this, that, and the other. And the point is you basically want to try and make your like CV or resume stand out as much as possible. Now, if there's a gap in that, so for example, my undergrad has nothing to do with cybersecurity. So if I was applying and I just had my undergrad degree, I would try and then make up for that in some other area or in some other way. So maybe either like a side project or something that can like put me forward, or maybe like I did an internship, or maybe I contributed. Maybe you built a hack the box machine. It's on hack the box, you know, because you can submit boxes to them. Maybe you have a bunch of try hack me rooms. Maybe you've got a YouTube channel, blogs. Maybe you found some CVEs. Maybe your top 100 bug bounty hunters, whatever it might be. All of these things kind of like slot in. So if you don't have something, try and think about what you do have and how you can supplement that as much as possible, if that makes sense. Yeah, and I think that's the best way to go. And for sure, I would also say if you're struggling a little bit because like you get a lot of like auto rejections from HR, maybe if you don't have a degree, they're just going to be like, no, and you maybe don't hit the hiring manager. Networking is your friend for sure, because who you know can just like get you a job just like that easily. I think something that I neglected for, I don't know, the first 7 years of my career, I didn't really do any networking at all. Nobody knew who I was. I didn't know anybody else. I knew the people that I'd worked with, but that's it. And now I've worked with them, you know, obviously they're, you know, good contacts. But I think if you go to conferences, especially like B-Sides, for example, B-Sides have a like a rookie track. So if you've never done a conference talk before, they take submissions from people who don't have as much experience and want to try giving a talk. And you'll meet loads of people, you'll have a talk, and then in your interview, you'll be like, oh, this is the talk that I gave at B-Sides. And people will be like, cool, you know? So yeah, I think this is the thing. It's like, you know, a balance between things, and how do you get the most out of what you have? And just because you're missing something doesn't necessarily mean it's impossible. But I would say I think it's a little harder for sure, if that's your case. But don't give up hope. I'm confident that if I went back and didn't do a degree and didn't do my master's, I could still get a job and work in cybersecurity for sure. And it's kind of easy for me to say because I have all this like knowledge now, but I'm confident it could happen. Yeah, it's possible. Do I have experience with Cobalt Strike? A little bit, yeah. I did a bit of red teaming before, not a ton. So, but yeah, I've used Cobalt Strike before. It's good. It's expensive. Yeah, it's a nice tool. All right, let me take a couple more questions, and we'll start. We'll start today's box. Ooh, another one from Uday. Should I go for bug bounty or pen testing? I think this is a personal question. I think pen testing is probably more stable, but I think if you really love bug bounty, then you should do bug bounty. But I think if you're just between the two and you're like either would be good, I think pen testing is a safer option for sure. Just because, you know, full-time job, paid salary, and things like this. But there are lots of opportunities in bug bounty. It's just, I think it requires a different mindset, different approach. It's not for everyone. Just the same as pen testing is not for everyone. So that's it. All right. Let me answer one more before we jump into today's box. So how do I manage my time in an engagement? I find myself digging rabbit holes, trying to bypass WAF, digging into potential vulns, and then cramming at the end of my engagement. Yeah, this is a tricky one, because I feel like, especially with web app pen testing, there's never enough time. And I think like the standard approach is like either 1 week or 2 weeks for a web app. Doesn't matter what size web app it is, you either get 1 week or 2 weeks. Or maybe if it's, just a few endpoints, maybe you get 1 day. And then, obviously you got a day for reporting as well. So for me, I generally prioritize based on, if I can, try and get in a meeting with the developers, understand which parts of the application are unique and built by them, and which parts are like boilerplate code or taken from something else, for example. Yeah, if they have a WordPress site and they're like, okay, we want you to test this, do all your basic WordPress checks. But then if they've built a custom plugin, that's what you need to be spending your time on attacking, for example. Same as if they have a web app and they've pushed 3 new features since their pen test last year. Those 3 new features are probably the things where you want to spend most of your time, if that makes sense. But generally speaking, I tend to go feature by feature. I know some people go bug by bug, like they'll be like, okay, I test for XSS everywhere, I test for this everywhere. But I tend to try and go feature by feature and not go too deep. If I don't make any progress within an hour, I tend to move on. Unless I have a really clear, like, oh, there's definitely something here. So I think, yeah, try setting yourself a timer. That might help. Automation definitely helps. Having standard word lists ready to go, having standard fuzz, things that you want to fuzz ready to go definitely helps. Standard WAF bypasses, if you can, on pen tests, ask them to whitelist your IP. And then be like, okay, I'm going to test without the WAF because that's going to speed up my workflow. And then afterwards, we'll redo the same tests and see if we can bypass the WAF. Because pen tests is all about finding stuff and getting them remediated. It's not like a real world. You're not trying to emulate somebody trying to break in the real world, right? You're trying to harden the application because you've only got a week. Somebody else might be on a target for years, for example. Like people do with bug bounties. Some people have targets that they work on week in, week out for many, many years, and they always find stuff because they get there eventually. All right, so let me pop this and then pop over to here, and let's take a start on the box. And also, when we get to like a break, we'll, I'll carry on answering questions and things like this, but we need to make a start. Otherwise, we'll just be answering questions all night, which is fine, but we also need to break stuff too. So let's pull open Burp Suite. So this is going to be more of like I built this lab, so it's more of a guided, chill session. It's not going to be like me struggling to do some CTF and typoing everything. I've kind of like prepared everything, and I'm just going to try and explain stuff as I go along. Hopefully you guys find it interesting. If you like this format or you prefer this format to the like CTF boxes or try hack me boxes, let me know. Let me find my IP address of my host so that I can actually connect to my machine. Then, yeah. But I think we got quite good feedback. Last time I did like a self-hosted or a CTF that I'd built. I forgot to fix this. Okay. It really, really irritates me that the input boxes like come outside of the div here. I need to fix this. And most of you probably know the reason why. It's because a lot of the time I use AI to build my front ends, to build them like really quickly. So like Bootstrap and things like that, and all the CSS, I usually like throw it in there. For things like the PWP exam, like I built pretty much everything, but like for labs and stuff, the front ends, I'm just like, build me a front end. These are my endpoints. And it's, it's obviously quick. So we've got a couple of demo accounts. We're just going to log in as John at example.com. Jeremy's on holiday, so we've gone with John. And here we have this app. So it's called like Free Flow. And it's basically, as a user, you can log in and you can request work to be done. And then as we'll see later, the admins can accept work, and then they can do some stuff on the back end. And that in the second step, we'll see this server-side cross-site scripting. And what I want to do first is have a look at the user token. So we're going to try and brute force a token. So get dashboard. Come to here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a second. So we're going to do this fun thing again where I ask you all random questions, and we just chill until we get the answer. Oh, where is Jessamy? Jessamy is, I don't know, looking after the cats somewhere. Also on holiday. What's up, Hamza? How you doing? So this here, what does this look like to you guys? I mean, it looks like 32 characters in terms of length. It's all lowercase. It's alphanumeric. There's only one thing it could sensibly be, and I'll give you all a second to think about it. Who's in Iceland? I want to go to Iceland. It's on my bucket list. I used to work with a guy from Iceland, and he had a really like serious resting face, and I could never tell when he was joking or not because he had quite a strong accent as well. He'd say things, and I'd be like, "What?" And then he'll be like, "Oh, I'm joking," and it's like, "Oh, okay." Here we go. Outlander, yes, we've got MD5 and a bunch of others as well. So I can see JWT in there, so not quite, because if it was a JSON web token, we would have 2 dots, and then we'd have like 3 sections. So we'd have like the header, the payload, and the signature like this. So JWTs tend to be a little bit longer, but this for sure is looks like MD5. And so naturally, this isn't the solution, but we can, you know, spin up Hashcat or John the Ripper or something. I'm just going to pop it in here. This is like the first thing you do with MD5, like this. And I'll be amazed if this actually cracks it. It doesn't. So, and I know why. So we can't crack it. We don't know what the data is, like that was used, and we don't know what the seed is. So here, what we're actually going to do is we're going to dive into the code. I've got the code running on my host machine, but I pulled it over. Earlier. So this is the include used to generate a token. And so we've obviously got this generate token function here, and it takes in an email address. And we can see that it creates a const timestamp. So it takes date.now, and then it creates the payload, which is the email that was passed in plus the timestamp. And then it creates the token. So crypto.createHash, this.algorithm. So it's using MD5 in this case. And then we've got .update payload and then digest hex. Now, I don't actually know what this update function does, but it probably, I don't know, maybe it like encodes it somehow or something like this. And then basically we get an MD5 from this. And then we got this.validate tokens. So where's that function? Okay. Validate token return this.validate tokens. Don't know. But anyway. Oh, so here we got validate tokens up here. I was like, where is this function? So basically, validate tokens is a list, and then we've got validate tokens.sets, and then it's adding the token and the email to this. So, oh, sorry, it's like a map, not a list. Not sure what the difference is. And then it returns the token here. So security kind of like 101. What is the problem with this function? I think this is this is the question here. If you were reading this, if you were doing code review and you saw this, I think, what would you be like? I mean, aside from MD5, let's ignore the fact that it's using MD5. I think in this case, using MD5 is not that big of a deal. Just because getting the actual payload and cracking it by using like something like a rainbow table or something is going to be very difficult because we've got this date.now. So I think the actual payload is quite complex enough to use MD5. But what is the other issue with this? No filter, says I. Okay, this is an interesting one. I think in this case, because we're not passing anything into a dangerous function, unless there was like a CVE with the crypto.create hash and we're passing in safely, I think we're okay without filtering. I think. Don't quote me on that because I haven't looked it up, but I don't see like a dangerous sync here. But that is a good point, and that's not something I thought about. Also, no sanitization, not quite what we're looking for. Why is this dangerous? Let's see. Yes, you are on the right track. So I'm not sure, but maybe the fact that it uses seeds that could be known to other people. So this is it, right? Using date.now instead of a very secure random function as part of your seed to create the hash is a terrible idea. Really, really terrible idea. So if we either know when somebody logged in, or if we have a time span of when they logged in, what we can potentially do, and we know their email. So if we know these two pieces of information, we can potentially create a list of tokens and then validate one of them. And I think famously, what was it? Was it like Kaspersky Password Manager or something? It was using like date time for its random seed. Date time is not random. And most random functions, so if you like use the Python's random function, is pseudo random. So it's like guessable because they're like everything comes out to like an average. And these things are not robust enough to be able to use in cryptography, basically. So this is dangerous. So what we can do is to speed things up, we'll use the login time, but we can try and recreate this, and we can try and brute force a token. And this is kind of like a fun exercise. And let's do. I already created a script for it because I don't want to spend 2 hours writing this, and then we can just get on with the Privask, I suppose. So basically, I wrote the script, and it takes in email, timestamp, and algorithm. And then if we come down, we've got args, arg parser. This comes in, and here we've got this main while loop. So we get the timestamp in milliseconds, and then we basically rotate through this. We generate a new token based on that. And then we append the token to the list, and then we increment the milliseconds. And so basically, and then we open a file and write it to the file like this. So the trick here is that sometimes when we are using a web app, I just totally lost my train of thought. When we're using a web app, sometimes we can go to something like a user's profile. We might be able to see their information, but we also might be able to see something like their last logged in. So for example, I've seen old web apps where people have like a last logged in or last active date, or we could maybe wait for, if it's like a forum or something, we could monitor them. We could write a script that then as soon as the user comes, like their status changes to online, we could take that timing down. Now we're going to kind of like fake this a little bit. So what we're actually going to do is log out. we're going to log in as the admin, just so that the admin has a valid token. And then it's now 1740 in England. And so what I'm going to do is Python 3 generate tokens.py, and then do --time 1740. I'm going to do a window of 1 minute either side. So this is going to basically take everything from 1739 to 1741. And then the other part of the token is the email. So we need admin at it's freeflow.com like this. And then we need the algorithm, if I can spell algorithm. This is probably the most difficult part of this attack, like this. So it's generated all the tokens, and it generated 120,000 tokens because date.now includes milliseconds. And so, of course, if we only knew the day, then this would be a lot more tokens. And this attack might even be, much more difficult to pull off. But in this case, 100, if we can get to the minute or within 3 minutes, this is reasonable. 120,000 tokens isn't too crazy, if that makes sense. And we can just double check this. Whoops. Yeah, like this. We've got tokens. I was like, why did that not autocomplete? But the tokens.js file is the, the code that we just reviewed. So hopefully this doesn't crash Burp Suites. And what I'm going to do is, let's see. Who is this? Is this? Let me submit this. Let's render this quickly. Okay, so this is John's account currently. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to send this to Intruder. And then, ooh, it auto. Does it usually do that? Oh, yeah, it does. Maybe I highlighted it, not sure. And then it's also highlighted our token. I suppose there's nothing else. I mean, maybe we're fuzzing for this. And then what we're going to do is come to payloads, and we're going to load in tokens.txt. Oh, I've got this on screen. Sorry. Whoops. Hopefully you can see everything. So these are all the tokens, all 120,000 of them. I'm surprised Burp Suite didn't crash, because usually when you load in like a huge word list, it just freezes up. And then fingers crossed, we should be good, and we'll give it a little bit of time to run. Now, because I'm running this locally and this app is running on my host, obviously, like, this would probably take a few hours over the internet, but what's a few hours? Like, you could leave it running overnight, for example. As long as you haven't got something like Cloudflare like clapping you, brute forcing is not such a big deal. Depends on your target and the situation. All right, while that's running, let me check in with the chats, see how you guys are doing. Ooh, career change from business developer and data analyst to cybersecurity. Yeah, I think so. Like, if people who have who are completely new to the industry can break in, if you're bringing a load of skills like data analysis and some other stuff across, then yeah, of course it's possible. I think from my perspective, cybersecurity can be taught. Anybody can learn cybersecurity. I think the other part that we can't really teach is like attitude, mindset, going for the right opportunities and things like that. There's a lot of stuff that is kind of like outside of our control as teachers, but I'm pretty sure I could teach cybersecurity to almost anyone who is like willing to learn. All right, so our initial payload, this is John's token, came back with a length of 1552. And then we also got another token here, which was length 1557. So I'm going to copy this. And then what we'll do is, I think we'll just come back to the browser. I'm going to go F12. And then here we have this auth token. I'm just going to replace the auth token in the browser. And then I'm just going to hit refresh. And now we're logged in as the admin. Huzzah! Easy peasy lemon squeezy. And this is the first, like, you know, step to breaking this web app is escalating our privileges. So I think what the key thing here is if you ever do like code review and you look at how tokens, this is like a simple example, but I've seen this in the past where like applications will use the date timestamps as part of like token generation, for example. As soon as you see this and there's like nothing inside here that we can't like either somewhat guess or like guess with brute force, the token is definitely like weak and brute forceable for sure. So you got to be like, is there something in there that I could never guess? If there is, you know, if it's like a 32 character completely random thing, then yeah, like it's secure. But if it's something like this, then we can easily brute force it, if that makes sense. All right, let me answer a couple of questions, and then we'll crack on to the main thing for today. Ooh, can I recommend the best books in cybersecurity? I have a couple on my desk. I think if you want to do web app pen testing, let me change my screen. This is the best book for web app pen testing. Here we go. The Web Application Hacker's Handbook. Honestly, I've read it through once, and then I've reread some chapters. And okay, it's not like, you know, super modern attacks and things like that, but it's really like fundamental stuff and really like mindset and how to attack systems. And honestly, it's really relevant for sure. Like old but gold. I think, you know, there's stuff in here that there's like null byte injection stuff, which, you know, I'm never going to test null byte injection against a modern application. Maybe I should. Maybe I'll get lucky one day. But even stuff like that, it's a good case study for your mind and for the future as well. So learning from old stuff is really, really important. I would say if you want to do network pen testing, obviously the Web Application Hacker's Handbook is not as relevant. But yeah, this is a really really good one. Let's see what else we've got. Oh, share the script. Yeah, let me. Is there an easy way I can share this? Let me pop this into. I will create a code share very quickly, and then I'll just drop the link into the chat. That's the easy. I mean, it's only really set up for this target, but obviously you could use like modify the scripts and use it against other things. Let me share this, copy, and then paste. There we go. The script is in the chat, so all good. Oh, look who turned up just in time for today's main topic, which I pinged you earlier, like being like, come join this live stream because web app surfing and boulders, yeah, and cats. That's pretty much my life. Which also reminds me, I need to print off more stickers for Defcon, which I'm going to add that to my to-do list before I forget, because otherwise I'm not going to get them in time. And then we're all good. Oh, you've got 5 minutes max. Okay. Well, at least we're being recorded, so you know, you can have a look later. I'll ping you the app anyway in the payloads. I think you'll find interesting. All right. Let's see what else have we got. Let's move on to the next part. Okay. So let me change my screen again. Here we go. So today, if we come to the admin dashboard, actually, let's create, submit a new job. So we're going to submit a new job. And cheese is the best thing I have ever eaten. So basically, the point behind this app is that users can submit jobs to the administrators. The administrators can then take it and then accept it. And it's kind of like a service request application. So we can submit this. Obviously, I'm submitting this as the admin. That doesn't matter too much. The point is, when we come to the admin dashboard, we have the application here. And we can see this. And so I just copied and pasted something. Oh, yeah. I'm going to put something into the chat in a sec. So here, as an admin, what I can do is I can accept this job request. And then its status is in progress. And then when we view it, we can see that we can convert this job request to PDF. And this is like pretty normal. When you submit like a request for something, you might get an invoice, you might get something else, whatever it might be. And then we have this service where you can convert to PDF, and then you can download the PDF, and then Chrome's going to be like, my face is in the way. Chrome's going to be like, oh, PDFs are dangerous, but we're going to keep it anyway. And we're just going to open it up, and you can see that, you know, this is converted to PDF. Now, I've just dropped a link in the chat. So this application, this CTF, is based on a talk from last week that I saw. So I went to the OWASP London meetup, and I'm really sorry, I'm going to say the name wrong, but Balaz Buksay, he even told me how to say his name, and I've completely forgotten. Did a talk on server-side cross-site scripting. So usually, when we have cross-site scripting, it's not cross-site scripting, ignore me. When we have SSRF, server-side request forgery, we'll have something like this. So we'll have like post, and it'll be like, or like, let's say get, and we'll be like convert, and it'll be like, okay, we're passing content type, application JSON, and it'll be like, this is our payload, and our URL is going to be like http://internal.ctf.something/all the flags, right? So this is our typical server-side request forgery. And what we can also do is like, we can see like metadata endpoints. Like, so if we're on AWS, I always forget it. It's like 169.254, 169.254. And we can access metadata endpoints and steal stuff from there and compromise cloud environments. Obviously, if you're using the new metadata endpoint, then you have to send a request, you have to get the token, and then you have to include the token in the request, which pretty much almost nullifies this unless you have like full control and you can send post requests, read the response, which usually you can't do in JavaScript, and then grab the token and then resend the request. So that's our like classic way. But another way of doing this is to get server-side request forgery via cross-site scripting. So when I send this payload here, cheese is the best thing I've ever eaten. What I can try and do is either insert some JavaScript or HTML inside this to try it and achieve server-side request forgery via something like XSS. So what I've done is I've created like a fake I'm just going to put in some like boilerplate code so we can see what's going on. A fake EC2 endpoint, and this is the point of like the CTF. So depending on the converter, so what we're doing here is we're communicating with a headless Chrome browser, and we're going to try and like pop cross-site scripting inside the headless Chrome browser that's running in a container. And then from that, we can then try and access the EC2 endpoint and read the data. Now, spoiler alert, this first one isn't going to work. So if we do something like fake EC2, it's running on 9,000, I think. Yeah, that should work. They're running on the same network. And then we do something like .then, and then like this, and then r.text, and then data. Whoops, I can't type today. Fetch, and then what we're going to try and do is exfiltrate it to our local web server. So this is like a typical cross-site scripting payload, something like this, like an intermediate cross-site scripting payload. So we close, and then we need okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to try, what's my IP address? This one. And then we'll just do Python 3-m http.server, and let's do like 9001 like this. And we're just going to try and exfiltrate the data to this. So if I copy this, I update the content, convert to PDF, and then that should trigger already because it's happening inside of the container. So when we can trigger the conversion, when it loads in the JavaScript, it's going to make this request, and then it's going to try and do it. And then we haven't written anything to the page, so we should just see the start and end. And oh, we just I'm an idiot. Hold on. Script. Don't forget your script tags, Alex. Update this. But I don't think we're going to see anything unless I've configured. If we configure the Chrome browser to be like allow, no, I don't think we can actually. Depends on the cause policy. But you can see we have start and ends, and then we can also see that we don't have any request coming into here. So this is one of the things with, if we have some data, we can exfiltrate it using JavaScript, but we can't read the response. And this is a problem that we run into quite a lot. And we can also try things. So for example, if the Chromium browser was had local file read, so I can't remember the flag, it's like allow -- allow local file read, we could maybe potentially do like something like this. But again, we can't see it. So instead of using JavaScript here, which sometimes this will work, so it's something to think about. What we can do is just use good old HTML. So here, I'm just going to do iframe source equals http:// and do fake-ec2. I think it's running on 9,000. It might not be. We might have to do some troubleshooting, and then make sure that we can actually see it. So let's do width, I don't know, 500px, heights, 500px, like this, and then close the iframe like this. And then hopefully when we do this and then convert and then download, you can see that we have the contents of this file. So this is the point of today's lab, is that we can get server-side request forgery via things like HTML, XSS, maybe even CSS. If we're like loading images, I think it's possible. I don't think we can, as far as I'm aware, I could be wrong, I don't think we can fetch text with CSS and then read the response and output it to the page. But we might be able to do something crazy like maybe steal images and then set like a background image, or do something based on something that comes back, not sure. But there's ways. And there's also ways to scan networks, internal networks using this technique as well. So we can use JavaScript, for example, to send a request to something, And then based on the response, we can be like, okay, that endpoint doesn't exist or does exist. So for example, let me try this one again. So if we do, let's keep this, and then we'll do another start or end here, like this. If I do something like scripts/scripts, can't type, and then we do fetch, and we do something like http://localhost 1234, and then we do something like r.text, like test, like this, and then we do something like data document.write. So we don't even need the pre. Let's just do data like this, and then if we do .then catch, catch error, and then we can do document.write the error like this. So what's going to happen here is hopefully we'll see an error come out. So if this endpoint doesn't exist, then we'll get an error. And if it does exist, we can't read the response anyway. And so this is a way of finding out whether an endpoint is there. And then even if we can't read the response, we could maybe potentially start attacking it. So let's grab that, download the PDF. Yeah, so we get failed to fetch. So this means that obviously the localhost 1234 doesn't exist. And then if we put in, like, for example, this fake EC2 endpoints, update this content, convert, obviously would script this and, like, you know, speed it up, or we could put lots of checks in one. Ooh, we still got failed to fetch. Okay, that doesn't make sense. That wasn't supposed to happen. What have I done wrong here? The output should be different. Because one of them should return and then just not write any data. And then one of them should actually cause like a legit error. Not sure. Anyway, I've probably typoed something or done something wrong. But this is like the theory, is that if we can elicit like a different response, then maybe we can scan networks by doing this. If that makes sense. Cool, but that's the point of this lab, is that we can get server-side request forgery, sometimes via JavaScript, sometimes via HTML injection. Sometimes we can get local file read, not in this case because I haven't configured Chrome that way, but we can just update this with our payload and then do the conversion, and then the headless browser that's running in a container is going to do the work for us. So what I would say is it's kind of risky to run a headless browser in a container. And this one is the repository I used. So I literally just spun this up from here. This is the same from the talk that we put in the chat. So it's the same repository. And I think there's a warning somewhere saying, oh yeah. Is this the right one? I'm sure this is the one I used. Or is it a different one? This might be a different one. Hold on, let me find which one I actually used in the end, because I tested a bunch this morning. And give me a second. Is it this one? Oh yeah, I think it's this one. I think. I don't know. Don't take me at my word. I tested like 5 or 6 of these this morning. I can't remember. Oh yeah, this one has the security note. So this is intended to run as a microservice service. So don't directly expose it to the internet. And I think the main point is here that, yeah, even if we don't directly connect it, maybe we can sneak in a payload, somebody else runs it. There are loads of situations where we may be able to get access to this, maybe even via just normal SSRF, for example, as an external user. So this is kind of dangerous. Not sure how many projects this is used on, but you know. But yeah, I just copied and pasted and spun it up using the oh, not that one. There's a Docker compose file somewhere. Can't remember where it is, but oh, there we go. Yeah, here we are. So Docker compose, and just used that to spin it up. So anyway, yeah, that's the main thing. And yeah, getting server-side cross-site scripting can be an interesting alternative to basically, I closed it down, to basically like our classic server-side request forgery, which is just, you know, where we see a HTTP request and it has like a URL in the body. In this case, we can obviously send our payloads in loads of different ways. All right, let me switch back to the chat. Yeah, just in case you didn't see it before. So the link to the original talk, which this is based on, and it goes into a lot more depth, and like there's loads of different types of payloads. There's loads of local file read and some other interesting things to look at. Definitely check it out. It was a really good night. So, and if you have an OWASP chapter near you, go to the meetups like I was talking about before. You know, it's really important to do things like networking, can open a lot of doors for you. Yeah, the OWASP London chapter is always really, really good fun. And there's always pizza, at least at the London one. There's always pizza and beer, which, you know, I appreciate. So, so it's all good. All right, let me answer a few more questions then. Oh, let's see how we're doing. Let's see. Okay, I can see 50 pinned questions. So let's answer like 5 more before we wrap up for today. So I'm gonna scroll down and see. Oh, okay, interesting and controversial question. Let's go with the hard ones. So will degrees become more and more important in the future? I think like degrees will always have their place for sure. I don't see them going away anywhere or like particularly changing. I know with like the rise of the tech industry, it's been a bit of a bubble for quite a long time now. So maybe, I think generally speaking, within the tech industry, it's very useful to have a degree. Most companies expect it. I don't think that. I think it'll stay the same. That's what I think. I think degrees are useful, and they're going to be useful for a long time. That's my hot take. Is that I don't see it changing anytime soon, for sure. I think that's the interesting one. It's probably not a very interesting answer, but that's what I think. Let me keep scrolling down. What about AI in cybersecurity? I mean, just like with everything else, I think use AI to make yourself more productive. Don't over rely on it. I think that's the biggest thing, is over reliance and overconfidence. So even when I'm using AI day to day, it doesn't get everything right. It makes mistakes. Things are, you know, it doesn't give me what I need, or I have to debug and troubleshoot if I'm writing some code and things like this. So, you know, it's a great tool. Use it as a tool, and you know, and that's it. And a lot of people, I think, like I saw a YouTube video titled "AI is going to replace SOC" or something like this. AI has been in SOC tools for such a long time. Like even like I was working in a role years and years ago, and we were using tools that had AI in it. It had like behavioral detection and all sorts of stuff. And it's like, It's been there for such a long time. That was like, you know, we were talking about AI and SOC tools like 10 years ago. So, you know, is it any different now? Are large language models any better than what SOC tools have already managed to use over the last 10 years? I don't think so. So, all so much hype. Good tools, use them responsibly. Don't go like nothing is a silver bullet. Otherwise, you know, yeah, that's my hot take is make the most out of the tools that you've got at your disposal. And I think that's it. Let me keep scrolling down. So, oh, it's interesting question. So what type of penetration testing is good, automation based or manually? So this kind of depends what you're trying to achieve, really. They both have their place. So we obviously do a lot of automation when we're working at scale. We also do a lot of automation if you're like, if you're an AppSec team and you're delivering like updates like every week, for example, or you're being, you know, really quick to push features to the market. Automation is really important. Manual testing, you can go much deeper, or you can cover things at a much more like, yeah, I think the right word is you can go deeper, or you can go more complex. You can chain issues. You can look at things that like maybe aren't vulnerability or exploitable themselves, but you can chain that with other things to achieve exploitation. Both of them are legit, and both of them have useful applications. So I think, you know, whichever one you prefer, that's great. And just make sure you try and balance out your skills. If you're really good at manual testing, lean more into automation to make sure you're well balanced. And if you're really good at automation, make sure you do a little bit of manual testing to make sure that you just don't have a weakness. I think that's the trick. Oh, why not Kali? Yeah, I mean, for web app pen testing, you literally need one tool, and that's like, okay, two tools, your web browser and arguably a proxy, and that's it. So you don't need a special operating system for two tools. I mean, that's it. So I just, you know, it's much easier just to have my own stuff and I'm good to go. I think like if I was network pen testing, I'd use Kali a lot more, and I do use Kali like for sure, but it's just overkill for web app pen testing. Like it's just not necessary, and yeah, that's the reason I think. And you know me, I like to do web stuff, so as much as possible, pigeonhole myself into this small narrow field. Let me keep scrolling down. This is okay. Cool request. Good name. It'd be cool to see you work through a little beginner API testing. Yeah, we haven't done this in a while, and I have a bunch of boxes that we could probably go through. So next time I stream, which will probably be, let me see, what's the date? So next week, I think we'll probably have Prince or Bellini on, and then the week after that, I'm at Defcon. So in 3 weeks, when I'm in. So I'm probably streaming on the 13th. We'll do some API stuff. I will do my best to remember, and we'll do some. We'll do a bunch of API pen testing. So that'll be fun because I love APIs, and we're all good. Let's answer one more question. Oh, what is bit chat? There's a question about bit chat. I haven't heard of this. I don't know what it is. Hold on, I'm googling what this is. Is it like Signal, decentralized peer-to-peer messaging app? Works over Bluetooth mesh networks. No internet required. How do you send messages when you have no internet? What is this? So this is what I'm looking at the moment. Maybe this is this the right thing? Oh, hold on. Let me swap my screens. This thing. Is this what we're looking at? I haven't looked at it, but looks like a nice application to do some code review. So so yeah, that could be fun. But yeah, I've not heard of I've not used this. I do have Signal, but I don't use that often. I just basically use WhatsApp like everybody else in the UK. I have a few others installed for, you know, friends who are abroad and things like that, depending on where you are in the world. But yeah. Bluetooth limited range. Okay. I see. So the messaging goes over Bluetooth, not via the internet. Got it. I understand. Cool. All right. I think that's it for today. So yeah, if you want some live web app training, there's the link going. It's right on screen now. I can follow it like this. Have a look at the web app live. Otherwise, the box that I did today, there's some changes I want to make and some things I want to tweak on it to make it a little bit smoother and also demonstrate some stuff, some other stuff. But by the time I stream on the 13th, it should be up on my GitHub. Fingers crossed. So if you want to take a look at it at some point, it'll be up in a few weeks. Like I say, I want to fix a bunch of things first. I just got it up and running for today's live stream. I don't think I have anything else to share. That's it. So have a great rest of the day, everybody. Work hard, be kind to each other, you know, all that good stuff. And I will catch you all next time. Thanks, everyone.